Hello and welcome to Master Prodigy. In this video I will be discussing font as well as color. LaTex provides a lot of different fonts, styles and sizes, enabling a lot of customization by the writer. So here we are where we left off from the third tutorial video. Just to recap, we have our book tag file, and in our book tag file we load the book class file in which we are typing code in here, and then we have our report tag file and we load the report class in that file, in which contains the code over here, and then both the report tag file and the book tag file loads the same chapters 1 through 5 files. So let's get started. Regarding fonts, the first package we are going to want to load is the font enc package. So right beneath the code where we defined our margins from the previous video, I'm going to start typing the command require package, and then in the curly brackets we type in font enc. Now the option we want to load for that package is T1, meaning T1 font encoding. So for now I'm just going to comment out that loading of that package. Now you are pretty much going to want to load this package with the T1 option in every document you ever type in LaTex. The default font encoding in Tech is the OT1 encoding, which is 7-bit encoding and uses fonts that have 128 glyphs. So therefore it does not include the accented characters as individual glyphs. Now if we typeset here within chapter 1, right now I'm just going to copy this and then paste it right there. Then for now I'm just going to cancel out that. So down here, if we start typing the code for an accented O, which is the following, and we save this and we run our book tag file, you will see that our accented O is displayed right there. So in order to make this tutorial just a bit simpler, I'm going to comment out chapters 2 through 5 because I do not want to scroll through a very large document every time I compile. So I'm just going to run this again. And now we are at the bottom pages there. You will see that the table of contents usually require two executions before that updates. So now you will see we only have the one chapter, which is chapter 1 in our table of contents. Okay, and then if we go ahead and we copy and paste that O, so I'm just going to open up our working folder over here, and then this is our book PDF document which we just created with our accented O right at the bottom there. Now if we go ahead and we select it and we copy that and then paste that inside of this notepad, you'll see that it pastes two separate glyphs. But now, if we activate the T1 font encoding by actually loading the font ENC package, and we run our book text file, you'll see it gives an error. That is because we have our PDF document open right now, so we just need to close that. So now it should run. We will now see that our accented O is still displayed just like it was previously, except when we go ahead now and copy that accented O, you will see that when we paste it, it will now be a single glyph. So the reason it is a single glyph at the moment is because the T1 font encoding, which we activated, is an 8-bit encoding which uses fonts that have 256 glyphs. Therefore, our accented O is now a single glyph in the font. Go ahead and close that as well as this. So many newer fonts are available only in T1, and many of the older fonts have had T1 variants devised for them. If you don't load it, you cannot properly copy and paste words containing accented letters from your output document. Words containing accented characters cannot be automatically hyphenated. Characters like the pipe sign and less than and greater than signs can give unexpected results in text as well. There are several other reasons, but I'm sure you get the idea. Now, if you are writing in only English, which does not have any accented or special letters, and you have no specific font encoding issues, there is no need to enable the T1 encoding. Sticking to the default OT1 encoding would not be a problem, but I still always enable the T1 encoding, even if I'm typing in English only, because English does have several adopted European words which contain accented characters, I think. You might also refer to European names and surnames which often contain accented characters. So to be safe, I just always load this package and add the T1 option. The default font family for LaTex is Computer Modern Roman. So if we comment out this package again and we run our book text file, the font you are seeing here is Computer Modern. This default Computer Modern font does not support T1 encoding, however. Computer Modern super fonts will get loaded automatically if you use T1 encoding. So if we activate and comment this command, you will see that the text, the font looks the same as it did previously, except this is now actually a Computer Modern super font. If your LaTex distribution does not have these super fonts installed, Tech will often use a Type 3 font, which is a bitmap font. Bitmap fonts usually don't look good when zoomed or printed, but any recent LaTex distribution will have the super fonts installed. You can also load the Latin Modern Fonts package. So if we go ahead here and add the code or load the package, L Modern, we are now loading the Latin Modern Fonts package. So this will then enable Latin Modern in our document. This Latin Modern are computer modern-like fonts with T1 support. It is basically an extension of the computer modern fonts, but it looks the same. So if you run it, you will still see no difference in the default font in our paragraphs. But I'm just going to comment out this Latin modern package. The reason for that I will show shortly. Another advantage of using new computer modern-like fonts is that they provide fonts of computer modern families in all weights, shapes and optical scaled font sizes. Now here in the side panel, if we click on that icon there, we will see that Text Studio shows a lot of symbols and math notation and so forth. So if we go to chapter 1 and we, for example, click on this, let's say A with a stripe over it, you'll see it generates the code which will give us that symbol. So if we save chapter 1 as well as our book class and we run our book tag file, you'll see that our A is displayed over there as we would expect. So there are a lot of symbols here, but some of these symbols require some packages actually. An example is this leaf symbol requires the text comp package. So in order to be able to use that, or to typeset that symbol inside of our document, we first need to load the package. Which was text comp. So now we can make use of this symbol. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on several symbols. I assume all of these are text comp. Yes, it looks like it. Well, that one doesn't seem to require the text comp package. Nevertheless, and as well as a degree Celsius symbol and this upside down omega, and even some math notation which we can insert even though we are not in math mode. So when we save this and we save our class, you'll see that all the symbols are now added in here. Now I see that some of the other symbols here require another package called the WASISM package, so I'm just going to load that as well. And then we can use those additional symbols as well. How is that spelled? WASYSYM. There we go. If we save that and we insert some more symbols there, like some smileys. I'm just picking random symbols right now. And we save it, and we will have some additional symbols. It gives us an error at line 36. So line 36 is the mo, which is that symbol. I think there's two notes. Two notes should load. What about thorn? Let's just backspace this. I'm not sure where the error is right now. I'm not sure why that gave an error. I'm not sure, these two symbols seem to look exactly the same, so there we have it. Okay, so those are the basics, just some basic information you need to know about font and some symbols. Next, I want to talk about font size. So the standard classes article, report, and book support 3 different font sizes. The font sizes the font size we specified for book class was 12 point, but the available font sizes for your standard classes are 10 point, 11 point, and 12 point. So since we have 12 points specified there, our document-wide font will be 12 point. Since only those 3 are supported, if we specify any other font size, it will not be recognized. So if we type in 14 point there, and we try and run this, it will generate our PDF document, except the font size will not be 14 point. Because LaTeX doesn't recognize that font size. And instead it will make the document-wide font size the default size, which I believe is 10 point. So this should be 10 point text. If we want more font size options, we can use the X sizes package. It allows for 8 point, 9 point, 10 point, 11 point, 12 point, 14 point, 17 point, and 20 point font sizes. This is not a package you need to load. You just need to change the document class names slightly by adding ext in front of the name. So our book class needs to be changed to ext book. And now when we save this and run our book text file, it will now recognize the 14 point font size, and as a result our document wide font size will now be 14 point. So rarely would you need a size smaller than 10 point or bigger than 12 point. So just load the standard classes unless it is absolutely necessary for you to have smaller or bigger document-wide text. So I will just change this back to 12 point and this back to book. This 12 point text or font size is larger than I would normally use. Usually I use 10 point font for my books and 11 point for my reports. But for the purposes of this video, to make it easier to see, I'm using 12 point. So now we move to local font size. An easy way to specify font size locally is with the tiny up until huge commands. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to rename this section font size, and then I'm going to copy and paste this text right there, except I'm just going to cancel out that margin bar. There we go. And we can also insert that text inside of a set of curl brackets. So it doesn't matter to insert text like this inside of a curl bracket. It will still be displayed normally when we run our code. like we see there. So the tiny up until huge commands generates different sizes of font for us. So I'm going to create several of those paragraphs, and then we are now going to change these different paragraphs to different sizes. So the first command we can type in is tiny. Now if we save this and run our document, you'll see that our text is now in fact tiny. Up here you can see all the different options. You have tiny, script size, footnote size, up until huge. So in chapter 1 here, the way this works is if you just click on, let's say, small, it will generate small within a set of curly brackets and a space, so you can type your paragraph or the text you want that size inside of the curly brackets. But for now I'm just going to cancel that out. The next step from tiny upward is script size, so we type in the command script size, and then the next level up is footnote size, then the next level is small. Yeah, that should actually be inside of that set of curly brackets, but I'm going to run that code instead to show you what happens when you forget to put it inside of a curly bracket. So you'll see that the sizes increase as we went along, except that these two paragraphs are now the same size, the last two. That is because this small text size was now applied to both of these paragraphs. So if you forget to put the small inside of the curly brackets, it will make everything after that command that size. So just be careful for that. We just need to put that inside there. And then the next size is normal size. So that's just your normal document wide font size. And then the next level up is large. Once again, outside of the curly bracket. So now we have large, which is the level up from normal size. Now this large is the lowercase large with every letter a lowercase. Then the next level, the next size upward is also large, except the first letter is now an uppercase. So this large with the uppercase L is, or it provides bigger font size than the large with all lowercase letters. Then the next level up is also large, except we have all of them as uppercase letters. Then the next step is huge, all of them lowercase. And finally, we have huge with the H as an uppercase. So if we run this, you'll see our sizes increasing from tiny up until huge. So this is a easy and simple way to quickly set font size. So each of these commands changes the point size of the respective text. The point size to which the text is changed to is a function of your document-wide font size, which in our case is 12 point. This table shows the different commands' font size with respect to each document-wide font size. So with our 12-point document-wide size, this footnote size text, it will have a size of 10 point. Now we can load the more size package, which will give us access to 2 more sizes. So if we go in here and we load the more size package, we will now have access to 2 more options. So we have access to the S small command, which fills the gap between script size and tiny. So if we copy that and paste it there, now in here we can insert the command S small, probably meaning super small or something. And we also have access to huge with all caps. So we paste that there and just change these to uppercase. Now you can see that LaTex kind of doesn't recognize the S small and huge commands. That is because it's commands that are part of the more size package. So we can save this, and when we run it, you'll see that our 2 extra sizes is applied with huge and then even bigger huge. And then the S small, which is an intermediate between tiny and, what was that option? Between tiny and script size. Alright, and another package we can load, which provides the most flexibility when it comes to font size, is the any font size package. So we type in any font size, and now we have access to a very handy command with the name font size. So I'm just going to type in the command new page to have the following on a new page. So if we go ahead and we copy that once more and paste it there, we can now type in the command font size. And now we have several arguments which we must fill out. The first argument contains the font size in units of points. And the second argument contains the size of the baseline skip. The baseline skip should be set to roughly 1.2 times the font size. So if we specify a font size of 10 point, the baseline skip should be 1.2 times that, which is 12. So when we save this and we run it, you'll see that our font is now 10 point. And then I'm going to copy and paste this several times more, just to demonstrate the different font sizes. So let us, for example, make this 15, and then maybe 16, and then 18, and then 20, and maybe 22, and then 24, and then 26, and 30. So for now I'm just going to leave the baseline skip as it is. And you will see our different font sizes being, well, they are displayed, but they are all the same font size. That is because I forgot the command which we need to insert after the font size command with the name select font. So we always need to add the select font command, otherwise LaTeX will not know which text you are referring to. So now that first part will have 10 point and the rest, 10 point and the rest is 12 point still, because we still need to add the select font to the rest of those. So for now I'm not going to modify the baseline skip, because as you will see shortly, the baseline skip does not really affect anything right now. You can see our 10 point up until the 30 point font we specified. The reason the baseline skip is not really modified right now, I mean, we can even go ahead here and make this a ridiculously large number, like maybe 300. So theoretically now the lines should be very much separated with a very big space in between, but everything remains the same right now. That is because I think the default document format specifies a certain space between each line, and that default distance is maintained throughout each one of these paragraphs. So right now it doesn't matter what value you insert for the baseline skip, it will not affect anything. But in the future we will have cases where we need to specify a certain baseline skip, but we'll get to that when the time comes. And that concludes everything I have to say about font size. The next thing we are considering is font styles. Okay, so we get several font styles. For now, I'm going to put in some subsections. The first font style we have is normal default font. So if I'm just going to copy that and paste it there, and then I'm going to take out the tiny. So in order to get normal default fonts, we don't actually need to add anything to this, because it would already be displayed in the normal default font. But there is still a command you can add for that, and the command for that would be text normal. So that text normal command will force the text to be of the normal font style. And then if we paste that again, the alternative command we can use is normal font inside of the curly brackets. So these two would basically give the same result. And if we run it, you'll just see that our paragraphs are displayed normally with a normal font style. And then next up, the next font style we have is emphasis. So here in chapter 1, I'm going to copy all of this and I'm going to paste it there. Since now we have emphasis, we change that. And the command to get emphasized text is EMPH. Or alternatively, we can use the command EM simply. So that will now give us emphasized text. So when we run our book text file, you will now see our two paragraphs are now emphasized. And then the next option we have is upright. And the first command to get upright text is text up. Or alternatively, you can use up shape. So upright is the same as the normal typeface. So this would just be your normal default font style. As you can see there, this is the same as that one. The next option we have is italic. So we have italic. And the first command to get italic font is text IT. The IT standing for italic. And the second command is IT shape. Now when we save this and we run our book text file, you'll see our italic text right there. And then we have slanted. So we go through the same procedure. Slanted, and then the first command to get slanted text is text SL, and the alternative command is SL shape. So if we save this and run it, you'll now see our slanted text. So slanted is just a skewed version of the normal typeface. It is similar to italics but slightly different. You can see in italic the A is different than this A. So the slanted A is different from the italic A. Next up we have small capitals. So small capitals is an interesting font style which I use often. And you will see shortly what small capitals does. The command for small capitals is text SC, SC standing for small caps, or alternatively we can use SC shape. And when we save this and we run our book text file, you'll see small capitals here. So what small capitals does is the uppercase letters, it makes bigger. Well, not bigger, it leaves the uppercase letters exactly as they are, but the lowercase letters, it switches to an uppercase letter, but it makes it a bit smaller. So in my books I use this a lot in my chapter titles and headers and footers and so forth. And then next we have bold. So we all know bold. It just simply makes the font a bit heavier. And the first command we use for bold text is text BF. BF standing for probably bold font, or alternatively we can type in BF series. And when we run this, you will see our bold font displayed here at the bottom. Okay, and then the next one we have medium weight. Medium weight. And the first command to get medium weight is text MD, or alternatively you can use MD series. And when we run this, you'll see that medium weight is the weight of normal font. So this is just actually your normal default font. So in each of these font styles we just typed, the first command is not entirely the same as the second command. It's not entirely equivalent. So for example, text IT is not exactly the same as IT shape, even though it produced the same result as we can see right now. The second command does not correct spacing after the selected font style has ended, and therefore the first commands are recommended. So just if you can, it is recommended that you use text IT instead of IT shape when you want italic font. So you might be wondering why there is a text normal to specify normal font when you can just cancel out that command and this paragraph will be displayed in normal text anyway. Well, there is a use for the command text normal. Let's say for example you have here in bold, we want one word to be normal text. Then in here, for example at collection, we can just type in the command text normal, and then now I see by default Text Studio usually adds the closing bracket as well, which can be irritating sometimes. Nevertheless, when we run this code, you'll see that collection will now be normal font instead of bold. So that is one use for that command at least. You'll see collection is not bold. Alright, and then next up we have uppercase. So if there's a specific command which will make all the letters in a paragraph uppercase. And the command for that is just simply the command uppercase. Or alternatively, you can use the command make uppercase. And an important thing to remember with the command make uppercase is that the M and the U must both be uppercase letters. If you make the M and the U small lowercase, then it will not recognize that command and LaTeX will give you an error. So when you save this and run it, you'll see that all the letters in these paragraphs are now uppercase. Likewise, we also have lowercase. So I'm just going to copy this. And lowercase will, well, you guessed it, it will make everything lowercase letters. And the command for that is just simply lowercase. And then lowercase here as well. We'll make lowercase. And then when we run this, you will have all lowercase letters in the paragraph. So even the B at the beginning of the sentence is now a lowercase letter. Alright, and then next up we have underlining. So underlining is usually not recommended for typographic reasons, which is that it weighs down the text. Emphasizing should be used instead, but underlining text provides a useful extra form of emphasis during the editing process. For example, to draw attention to changes that needs to be made. Underlining can be done with the underline command. So here we just type in underline. For now I'm going to backspace that. We don't want that in there. So when we save this and we run our book text file, you'll see that we get an undesired result. So you can see that the text underlined in this way, it will not break properly. We can use the sol package, which provides a proper underlining command. So if we load in our class the package with the name sol, we will now have access to several other handy commands, and the command which is provided by the sol package for underlining is just simply ul. So that will now give us proper underlined text, which breaks properly, unlike the previous command. So the sol package also provides commands for letter spacing, overstriking, and highlighting. So if I'm going to copy this. The next thing we can do is letter spacing. And the command for letter spacing is just simply SO. And you'll see that it spaces out the letters in the paragraph a little bit, like here. At the moment, it seems to me like the letter spacing font size is almost bigger than the normal font size. But this B looks the same size as this B, so no, the font size is the same. It's just an illusion generated in the mind, which it kind of tricks the mind into thinking that the font size has increased, but no, that's just a result of the increased space between each letter. Okay, and then the next command we have is overstriking. And the command for that is simply st. Okay, and when we save that and run this, you'll see the overstriking, which draws a line through the middle of your text. Next up we have highlighting. So that's the final one. Highlighting. And the command for highlighting is HL. Now when we save this and run it, as you will see, the text that we want highlighted is underlined instead. That is because we don't have the color package loaded yet. The highlighting command HL will only highlight if the color package is loaded, otherwise it falls back to underlining. I will discuss the color package later in this video, so I will return to this shortly. Now we have discussed nearly all the font styles and everything aimed at emphasizing text. One last note to take is that some font styles are not compatible with one another. If we, for example, try to make bold small caps, we would type, let's see, here at the text SC command, which is right there. This command makes this paragraph small caps. If we want bold small caps, we can add the command text BF with another set of curly brackets. So theoretically this will now make bold small caps. And if we want italic small caps, we could type, let's see, I'm going to copy this and paste it once more below there. Then I'm just going to change this to IT for italic. Okay, and if we want to make bold italic text, so here at BF, we can also type in the command text IT. and we add the other curl bracket for the closing statement. Okay, so now if we run this, you will see that we do get our bold small caps as we would expect. We do not, however, get italic small caps. For some reason it discards these small caps and just make it italic. And we do get our italic bold text right here, except for the word collection, which we specifically specified to be normal text. So that is understandable. So to work around this problem where we do not have the italic small caps, we can load an extra package, and the package we can load to solve that problem is the slanted package. Right there. So when we run this again, you should now see that we do get our italic small caps right there. But not all fonts contain italic or bold small caps. No matter what packages you load, some fonts will not give you bold small caps. So, for example, the Latin Modern package, if we enable the Latin Modern font, you will see that we do not get either the bold small caps or italic small caps. So yeah, that's just because the Latin Modern unfortunately does not contain bold and italic small caps. So that's why I just usually leave out the Latin Modern package. So I'm just going to cancel that. So before loading a font, just check that it has all the features you want in it. Now all that remains with regards to font is font family selection. Font families can be grouped into 3 categories. These are Roman, also known as serif, sans serif, and typewriter. So over here I'm going to create a new section, and I'm going to call it font families. And then within that I'm going to create a subsection and name it serif, which is the first type of font we get. But the serif font is also known as Roman font family. So serif or Roman, and the example I'm going to use is the same as what we had all the time over here. I'm just going to copy that and paste it underneath there. Okay, so in order to make this serif font, we add the command rm family. Now remember that here we also now have to add the command select font in order for LaTeX to recognize which text we want as that specific font. Now the default is RM family, so if we save all of these and we run our book text file, you'll see that the serif is our default font. So we can specify different serif fonts. If we go to the LaTeX font catalog Here we have serif fonts, sans serif fonts, and typewriter fonts. So we can open this up in serif fonts, and here is a whole list of different serif fonts from which we can choose. So this is a very handy website which we will delve deeper into shortly. For now, I'm just going to talk about sans serif a bit more. So we create a new subsection and we name it sans serif. And the command you would use to change the font to sans serif is SF family, for sans serif family. Now when we save this and we run that, you'll see that we now have a sans serif font over here. So if we go back to our website, our font catalog, you'll see that over here in Computer Modern, Computer Modern. So right now we are using this font since we have loaded the package, the T1 font ENC. This is now the font we are using. And you can also see they say that it supports normal font, italic, small caps, bold font series, as well as several others, and they give demonstrations of how the numbers look and so forth. And it also supports math, and it gives a lot of handy details. So this is just the default font which you would get when you load the font ENC package, which we did right at the beginning of this video, right there. Now if we loaded the Latin Modern package, we would have gotten, where's the Latin Modern? There we go, Latin Modern Roman. If we loaded the L Modern package, this is the font we would have gotten. But as we saw, when we loaded this package, we could not get bold small caps or italic small caps. So this font is a bit more limited. And then we can go to sans serif fonts. So right now with the Computer Modern sans serif, this is the one we are using. So right now this sans serif you're seeing is the sans serif is this one. So this is just what you would get when you load the font ENC package, as we did just now. So this code here you would add to your code if you want to make the base font of your document to be sans serif. So if we copy this code and we paste it into our class, just for example over there, and we save it and run this, you'll see that the base font of our document is now sans serif. Or more specifically, the Computer Modern sans serif. But usually I do not do that. I just leave the default document-wide font to be the Roman font. If we loaded the L Modern package for the Latin Modern font, we would have gotten, let's see, we would have gotten this Latin Modern Sans. and this would have been what we have gotten. And then the same for typewriter. If we make some typewriter font, we would once again have the computer modern teletype, which is the default after you load the font ENC package, or alternatively, if you load the Latin modern fonts package, you would have gotten that one. Okay, and now we can go ahead and type in some more text. So here under chapter 1, under sans serif, I'm just going to copy that and paste it there. And what I'm going to change right now is simply making some small caps. So I'm going to add the command text AC and just add the appropriate curly brackets. Then we can also go ahead and paste that again. Then once again, we can type in the command text AC. So now we will once again get small caps sans serif font. And I'm going to even add text BF to make that bold. Text BF. And just remember to add all the appropriate opening and closing curly brackets. And then I'm going to go even further and also type in some numbers at the back here. I'm just going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then the same over there. And also over here, because we also want to see what the numbers look like. Okay, and when we save this, and we also save our class and run this, we'll now see the sans serif displayed here. So right now the sans serif font which we have, which is the computer modern sans, as you can see, it supports just normal small caps, but as soon as you want bold small caps, it doesn't support bold small caps. So we will need to search for another sans serif font if we want bold small caps. I'm just going to copy this again and then paste it, and I'm going to change this to IT for italic. And then I'm going to paste again, and I'm going to go even further and make this text IT. So right now, this is small caps, bold, and italic. So that should be quite an interesting combination. But as we would expect, with the current fonts not supporting bold small caps, this is only bold at the moment. But we'll fix that now. So in order to get a fix for that, we can go ahead and get another font from the font catalog in sans serif fonts. But first I want to demonstrate how to change the default sans serif font. So what we need to do is just load the package, the appropriate package. And let's say we, for example, want to load the Helvetica small caps font. So now loading this package will change the default document wide sans serif font to Helvetica. So if we run this, you will see that our font here is now Helvetica. And as you can see, Helvetica does support small caps. It supports bold small caps. It, however, does not support the italic small caps, so it's still not entirely the font we would want. What we can also do when loading a fonts package, we can type in some arguments, or well, one argument specifically, which is scaled. No, must be there, scaled equals, and then we type in a value from 0 up until 1. So let's make it 0.5, for example. So when we do that, you'll see that our sans serif fonts is now, well, basically half the size it should be, since we scaled it down to 0.5. So many times they will put in a scale. For Helvetica, it is usually 0.92 for some reason. That is probably to make the sans serif more or less the same size as your default text. But that's up to you. You can decide how you want to do that. We can look for another package which does indeed support italic small caps. So therefore we would need to search through our database of available fonts here. You'll see that the Helvetica Helvet is not available, or well, it is not shown in this catalog, because this catalog, it doesn't show absolutely every single font there is available, but it does give quite an extensive list, which is very handy. So the sans serif font that I have in mind is, let me try and get it, this one, TG Heroes. So it requires a T1 font encoding, and then we just need to load the package TG Heroes. Then that font would be enabled. So what we need to do is we can cancel out the scaling. I'm not so much worried about that. And then instead of Helvetica, we put in TG Heroes. So now the default sans serif font will be whatever we are seeing here. And this is what our numbers will look like. So when we run our book text file, you will now see that we have a little bit of a different sans serif font. Now this sans serif font supports small caps, it supports bold small caps, as well as italic small caps, and even bold italic small caps, as you can see right there. So this is a very, very good sans serif font to my mind. It's just interesting that it kind of makes the numbers like strange in the small caps, but nevertheless. So right now with these commands, loading these packages, we changed the global sans serif font. So every sans serif font in our document will be the same. It will look like this. But let's say, for example, you want different sans serif fonts within one document. So to do that, what we can do is I'm just going to copy this. And then using the command font family, we can now specify within the curl brackets, we can now specify a specific font which we would want this paragraph to be. Now this is quite tricky actually. Let's say, for example, we want the Helvet sans serif font. We cannot go ahead and type in Helvet in there like we did when we loaded the package. What we need to type in that set of curl brackets is a specific code, which is not always that easy to obtain. So what you need to do to get Helvet font for that paragraph is you go into your MIC 2.9 installation. It should be in local disk C and program files x86 if you installed the 32-bit version, which I have. And then in your MICTEC 2.9 folder, you can just go and search for Helvet. And then in the results that pop up, you should look for your LaTeX style file. So this is a .sty extension. So if we open that by simply dragging and dropping, you'll now have access to our Helvet sty file. So usually you should look for the command, renew command, sf default phv. So this phv is the specific code for Helvetica sans serif font. So if we now go ahead and type in phv in there, this paragraph will now be Helvet, while the rest is what we specified in this package, this TG Heroes. So we can go ahead and save chapter 1, and when we run our book text file, you will now see that this is a different sans serif font than what we have above there. And we can do that for several other sans serif fonts. Let's go ahead and create one more. We just simply copy that and paste it down there. So let's go and look through our fonts catalog. Let's say, for example, which one can we choose? Let's say the Merriweather. I remember Merriweather. Merriweather Sans right here. So if we type in require package Merriweather, it will make the default font of the entire document, of the default sans serif of the entire document Merriweather. But that's not what we want. We only want that one paragraph to be Merriweather. So instead we go and look for Merriweather within our folder. We just once again search Merriweather. I don't think that's spelled correctly. But I see here is there's our style, our LaTeX style. So we can open that by just simply dragging and dropping. And now we just look for that specific code. Now sometimes the code is a little bit tricky to find sometimes. But I think that this is the code. Meriwether Sands TLF. So we copy that code, and then if we paste it in there, this paragraph will now be Meriwether Sands. So we can go ahead and save, and when we run our book text file, we now have the Meriwether with its specific set of numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, which in the catalog we can see is the same. So yeah, that's it. That's how you can have multiple different sans serifs within the same document. You can do the same for the Roman fonts, and you can do the same for the typewriter fonts, which we will get to in a moment. So we can go ahead and close these STY files. So we create a new subsection and we call it typewriter, which is the next type of font we have. Okay, so the code we used to get a typewriter font if we copy and paste that, it is TT family. So TT family gives us the typewriter font for this paragraph. If we save that and we run, you'll see how the typewriter font looks like. And there we have it. That's typewriter font. Typewriter fonts are monospaced fonts, and they usually set up two features. They do not enable hyphenation, and they have no stretching or shrinking of interword spaces. So paragraphs like this, typed in monospaced fonts, will go over the margin, as you can see here. I do not know of a way to prevent this, but monospaced fonts are not meant to be used in paragraphs like this. Long texts in a monospaced font are hard to read. The main use of monospaced fonts are for listings, and enabling hyphenation or flexible interword spaces would have undesirable effects on them. So for that reason, those features are disabled for monospaced fonts. You can see that the small caps from the sans serif fonts also goes over the margin. I think that's because the sans serif tries to keep the space between words the same as it would be in the default sans serif font. It just has to expand it since it's now capital letters. But in future videos we'll be looking to sort out the spacing of this. Alright, and then we can also change the typewriter fonts by going to our LaTex font catalog, and then under typewriter fonts, usually I just choose Courier. Courier is up here, and then this is the package we need to load to make the default typewriter font of the document Courier. So we do the same, require package, and then Courier in there. And then when we run our text file, you'll see that the typewriter font is now Courier. Okay, so that concludes that for font families. Now we can finally talk about colors. The easiest way with which to use colors in your documents is to import the color package. So in our class, we just need to load the package. With the name color. So with this color package you have access to several colors. Now I'm instead going to import the X color package. Both the color and the X color packages provide a common set of commands for color manipulation. But the X color package is more flexible and it supports a larger number of color models. By loading the X color package, you also load all features of the color package. So I just always load the X color package. There are some options I usually insert. The first one is use names. So in square brackets, you type in the option use name or use names with an S. Now the use names option allows you to use names of the default colors, the same 16 base colors as used in HTML. Then the next option I load is the SVG names. Now this SVG names option allows you access to 64 more colors. Then I also load the DVIPS names. Now the DVIPS names option allows you access to about 150 more colors. And then lastly I add the option table, which allows colors to be added to tables by placing the color command just before the table. So now that we loaded the X color package, we can change font color easily. So if we save this, we will now have access to lots of color diversity. So in chapter 1, I'm going to create the section and name it font color. Alright, so I am going to copy this text and just paste it over there. But I'm going to take out these options and then if we want to change the color of this paragraph, we type in the command text color, and then within the first set of curl brackets you type in the name of the color you want the text. So I'm going to type in the color named goldenrod, and then the second set of curl brackets contains the text which you want that specified color. So we can save this, and when we run our book text file, you'll see our new color is applied to the text, to that paragraph. And we can do this with some other colors as well. We copy that and paste it several times. We can make this let's say orange. And the next one I'm going to make blue. I'm just choosing random colors at the moment. Then we have jungle green as well. Now the jungle green is case sensitive, so you need the J and the G to be uppercase. And I'm also going to type in red for some red text. And when we run this, you'll see different paragraphs in the different colors we specified. Right there. So we can also define our own colors with the command define color. So here we type in the command define color. So we have 3 sets of curly brackets containing 3 different arguments. The first argument in the first set of curly brackets is your new color's name. So let me name the color book theme. So this will now be the name of my own specified color. The second set of arguments right there is the color code you are using, and the third argument is a set of values you enter for the respective color code. So the first color code you can use is RGB, specifically RGB in small caps. The RBG stands for red, green and blue respectively. With the RGB color code, you need to enter 3 comma separated values between and including 0 to 1. So if we type in 0, 0, 0, this indicates 0 red, 0 green and 0 blue, which is black. Or we can type in 111, which will give us white. Or you can type something in between like 0.5, 0.1 and 0.8 for example. Then that will give you a specific color. So the second color code you can use is also an RGB color code, except this is RGB specifically an uppercase. Now instead of making use of digits from 0 to 1, the RGB uppercase color code makes use of integer numbers between and including 0 to 255. So 255 and 255, this color code will give you white. Or 000 will also give you black, and you can put in any integer value between 0 and 225 to create whatever color you want. Then the third color code that is available is the CMYK color code, which stands for cyan, magenta, yellow and black respectively. So here we need to put in 4 comma separated digits ranging from between 0 to 1, which determines the color according to the additive model used in most printers. So 0.2 would give 0.2 units of cyan, and then 0.9 would give 0.9 units of magenta, and then 0.7 would give 0.7 0.7 units of yellow, and then one last digit would give some shade of black. It would give a certain shade which you can specify. So you can go online. There are many. You can just Google color mixer and you will get several online color mixers, and they have CMYK color codes and RGB color codes, so you can go online and then just search, or well, basically create your own color that looks best for you. Then the fourth color code, which is available in LaTeX, is a grayscale with the code gray. So with this color code, you only need one value. It's also a value between 0 and 1. 0 would give us black, 1 would give us white, and then anything in between would give us a certain shade of gray. So we can type in several, well, whatever number we want, like 0.355 would give us a certain shade of gray. Okay, but I'm going to specify my color book theme with the RGB, the uppercase RGB color code. This is the most common color code, I think, so I just usually use that. And the color I'm going to specify, it's an orange color. So it has 245 red and then 120 green and 0 blue. So this is the color theme of my book. It's going to be an orange color. So now we can use book theme as a color on its own. So if we copy this and we paste it there, we can now type in the color we specified there. Book theme. And when we save this and we run our book text file, I'm not sure why this is giving an error. Yeah, it's giving an error because I wrote RBG. It should be RGB, red, green, blue. Okay, now it should work properly. And there is the orange color which we just created with the RBG color code. Alright, and then there is also some color boxes available to us. What we can do is, I'm going to paste again, except we can now type in the command color box. And let's make it orange. Okay, so when we save this and we run it, you can see that everything is now highlighted except the color box command causes lines not to break properly, so it should rather be used to highlight only one word. So if we go here and we backspace some of these texts and only leave one word to make a color box around, you will see that we have our text inside of our color box. Now what we can also do, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that, and then I'll paste it there. Now I am going to change this color to book theme, which is the color we created in our class file. And what I'm going to add here is the command text color, and then I'm going to make the text white, and the text that is going to be white is the word batteries. So when we run this, you'll see we have white text inside of our color box. So instead of using the color box command for highlighting, we could just use the HL command provided by the sol package, which we loaded previously over there. Remember I said that when the color or Xcolor package is not loaded, the HL command will underline the text instead. So this was underlined previously, but now that we have the Xcolor package loaded, it is highlighted as we would expect. As you can see, our paragraph is highlighted in yellow, which is the default color. We can change that, as well as the default color for the underline and overstriking line, with the following commands. So in our class file, we can add the command set UL color, which meaning the UL standing for underlining color, and then we make it blue. Then we type in the command set ST color, the ST specifically standing for overstriking, and we'll make this pine green. And then the next command is set HL color, the HL standing for the highlighting color, and I'm going to make that book theme. So now when we save this, and after we run this, this will now be our book theme color. This would now be pine green, and this underlining will now be, what did I specify? Blue, I think. Yeah, I specified blue, so let's see what happens. Yeah, there we go. Blue underlining, pine green, overstriking, and book theme highlighting. And there we go. So we can combine many of the commands however we want. So we can become quite creative here. I'm just going to copy and paste some code I prepared for this tutorial. So right now, the same sentence we've been copying and pasting this whole tutorial now is still written in there, except the text color is now the orange color we specified, and we have sans serif family font type selected, and we're going to make it small caps and then bold font and italic as well, and all that will be the orange color we specified. So when we run this, we should see what we are expecting: bold, italic, small caps, and orange text. So yeah, the possibilities are endless. You can get quite creative by combining all of these different styles and colors. Now, if you want to change the color of your font for the text in your document, you can add the command color in your class file. So in our book class, we can type in the command color, and then we specify a color like book theme. And then when we save this and run this, you'll see that the document white color is now the orange color we specified, except obviously the other colors we specified previously. So if we still specify blue, it will leave the text as blue, so that remains unchanged. It changes the base color of your document, which is originally black, to the new color you specify. However, this is not guaranteed to change everything in your document to the defined color. If you want to be sure that every bit of text everywhere, in the headings, in the table of contents, all normal text, in figures, in equations, everything is changed, then you can add the following command in your class. So instead of this command color book theme, we add the following set of code, which I'm going to copy and paste, which is this bit of code. So the make at letter and the make at, make at letter and make at other. So this is the opening statement and this is the closing statement for this new command code specified in there. And then the at beginning document, this code just basically says when the document begins, change the global color to book theme, which is the color we specified there. So the default would be black obviously, but now it just specifies something else. You do not specifically have to memorize this code or know what every bit of coding here means. You can just basically copy and paste this and change the color to whatever you want. It's not always necessary to know what every bit of code means. So when we save this and we run our book text file, you will still see that the default color of the document is now the orange color we specified. So alright, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes everything I have to say about font and color. What I'm going to do is I am going to leave out this command. I actually do not want to change the default color of my document to orange. I want to leave it black, so we just cancel out that. With regards to the book text file, I'm just going to uncomment these input commands to have all the chapters back in my document. And with regards to the report text file, we need to just make the changes to the report class as well. So what we are going to do is just basically copy all of this. So this is just all the code we discussed in this video. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it in the report class as well. So now the report class is also up to date. So when we save the report class, the report text file also just makes use of this same file we've been working in here, which is chapter 1. So the reports will load all of this anyway. And when we run our report text file, you'll see that everything here is also updated, except with the report format we specified so far. And we also need to run our book tech file once more. Now what you will see is that it only shows chapter 1 so far. That is because you need to run your tech files 2 times in order for it to update your table of contents. So when we run a second time, you'll see that the table of contents now contain all 5 chapters. So there is a lot more I could have said, but I covered all the basics here in this video, which is more than enough for your average book or report writer. We will be using most of what I taught here when we start editing our titles, headers and footers. We will be using most of what I taught here when we start editing our titles, headers and footers. I will put a link to all the code contained in the book class file, which is this one. I will put a link containing all of this code in this file, as well as all the code in chapter 1, in the chapter 1 file, in the link in the description below of this video. For those of you who are lazy potatoes like me and just want to copy and paste. So, thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video, and remember to always stay curious.